fostering collaboration and communication using Dynamics 365 for sales. United we stand, divided we fall. We've all heard the saying and it rings true, now more than ever. Collaboration and communication are two key aspects needed to maintain unity, especially in these trying times. With the working world transitioning from offices to basements and bedrooms, maintaining a united front can become very difficult. There are tools to help collaborate, such as Microsoft Teams and Zoom, but due to varying personal circumstances, it may be very difficult to get coworkers or clients together at the same time to collaborate. By leveraging the functionality of the Dynamics 365 for Sales application, formerly known as Dynamics Customer Relationship Management, communication and collaboration can be fostered and maintained in times when meetings are not possible. Thank you for joining us today as we go through the many features provided by Microsoft Dynamics 365 for Sales and how the application integrates with many other Microsoft products to help foster the communication and collaboration needed to stay united and come out on top of this pandemic stronger than ever. There will be a Q&A session after the presentation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeb Strobel. I'm a software engineer here at Greyvock. And I'm here today to talk to you about Microsoft Dynamics 365 for Sales. Now, I know during these times, it doesn't seem like sales would be first on everybody's mind, but that's because this product used to be known as Customer Relationship Management. And keeping in contact with your customers is super important, especially with everyone working at home. So we're going to go over a few of the basic functionalities built into this application, along with a few integrations to make it easier to not only keep constant communication with your customers, but also with your colleagues. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump right into our first tip, which is going to be utilizing marketing lists and quick campaigns to send communications to clients and customers. Alrighty, so here we are in the Dynamics 365 for Sales application. This is the newest online version. You'll see the left navigation here, and this is where we're going to go ahead and find our marketing lists and quick campaigns. And because this application is a customer relationship management application, the on-premise version as well as the online version have this basic functionality built in. There is a marketing add-on which can give you further functionality, such as who opened emails, when they opened emails, that stuff of that nature. But for our purposes, we're just going to go ahead and give a quick demo of putting out an email blast to a few contacts. This is available for on-premise versions as well as online versions. So if you're still using on-premise Dynamics, this should be here for you as well. So we look at the marketing lists right here. I have a dynamic marketing list. There are two types of marketing lists, static and dynamic. A dynamic marketing list is one that has members that are defined by a set of criteria. So if you create a dynamic list, you'll notice up here you can manage the members. When you manage the members, it will actually allow you to create the query. So for our demo today, we have just those contacts that are part of the company that we've created. So you can also test your query here. It looks like we're finding what we need, and we're going to go ahead and use that query. When we go into the members, you'll see that the members are there. Now, a dynamic query will add and remove members automatically based on the criteria. So if a contact leaves the company and you have a specific marketing list for that company, then the dynamic list will take care of that for you. If you created a static list, that's essentially a point-in-time list that is manually updated. So you would be required to go into that list and remove or add any members manually at that point. So there are pros and cons to both kinds of lists, and it's definitely up to you which one you would like to use more, but they give you both options. So you'll see here on the right-hand side, I have a campaigns and a quick campaigns. A full-blown campaign tracks a number of activities, can track revenue as well. But a quick campaign is really what we're going to focus on. Quick Campaign allows you to create one activity and push it out to the marketing list. So we're going to go ahead and click New Campaign. You'll see a wizard pop up, and this wizard essentially walks you through how to create that campaign, and it will ask you a few key questions. So because we're trying to reach our customers, we're going ahead and name it outreach. Now here's where you would pick the type of activity. You can create a phone call, appointment, letter, fax, email. We're going to go for email for this activity. The owner is very important. The owner of the email record will be the owner of the contact in the marketing list. This allows users to see their own records. When they go into their My Activities view, they'll see the emails. You can also assign it to other people. So if you have someone who manages your marketing lists, then you can go ahead and assign it to them as well. But for our purposes, we're going to keep it nice and simple. This option at the bottom allows these emails to be sent automatically. If you uncheck the box, it will still create the emails for each member of the marketing list, but it does allow you to go ahead and maybe personalize an email, add some content, take out some content, do what you will inside the system before you send it. But we're going to go ahead and have that automatically send when we finish this campaign. Here's where we are going to build the email. You can use a template. Dynamics 365 for Sales allows you to create multiple email templates. So if you have the same email going out multiple times, then you can go ahead and create a template and use it here. But we're just going to go ahead and create a simple email to just reach out and say hi. We're going to go ahead and hit next. So it tells us we've completed the wizard. Review any information by going through the previous screens. Once you're ready, you go ahead and click create. It's going to go ahead and process that campaign. You'll see here total members, total number of successes, total number of failures, pending. That lets us know that it's just been created and the status is still processing. We can go ahead and refresh this screen. It's now in progress, so it's beginning to generate the emails and send them out. We can go ahead and click on this quick campaign. You can see here on the timeline that it sent out all of these emails. You can look at responses and you can create responses. If somebody sent a response back to you, you can go ahead and create a response here. And you'll see the number of successes is 5, which means it successfully ran for all 5 of these members. If it did not run, there would be some excluded members here, and there would be an error code to let you know why it did not run. These marketing lists and quick campaigns are the default names in the dynamic system. Now, it may be a little misleading because you may want to use these for something other than marketing, such as just customer outreach. These entities inside Dynamics can be renamed as well. So while it does say marketing list here, in your own environment, you could name it essentially whatever you'd like. So that's a lot of people get confused because they think it's just for marketing, but it could be for many other uses as well. So that is quick campaigns and marketing lists in a nutshell, which now we have our next tip that we're going to be talking about, and you'll see it right here, is the timeline feature. So the timeline feature is a nice little feature introduced in the newer versions of Dynamics 365 for Sales that allows a user to see the entire history of a record from when it was created to now. So you'll see here when the record was created, It shows the date. There was a task that was completed earlier regarding this record. And you'll see here the email that just went out as part of that quick campaign. The timeline feature also has what you've missed. So it keeps track of what's happened on the activity since the last time you may have accessed this record. If you click here, you'll see just the 2 activities that you missed. We can go ahead and remove that. The timeline also allows entering for notes. So you can enter a note and leave it for your colleagues. And anyone who comes into this record will see this note. You can also add attachments. So if you have certain files that you need to share with one another, you can go ahead and add an attachment through this timeline, and it will show up right in the timeline at the moment you added it. There is an ability to filter these records. So if you're looking for a specific type of record, if you're looking for only notes, then you can go ahead and filter on notes. If you're looking for activities, and in particular, maybe emails, you can go ahead and filter down to that level on emails as well. You can filter down on the date they were last modified. So if you only care about the last 24 hours of activity or the last 7 days of activity, you can go ahead and filter on that as well. So there's a lot of functionality built into the filtering of this timeline feature. There is a sort older to newer. So by default, the newest activities and notes go to the top, but you can sort it the other way if you're looking for an older note or activity that you might not see through the filtering. And you can also refresh it as well. So if multiple people are working on it and somebody says, hey, I left a note for you and you're already on the record, you can go ahead and hit the refresh button. You can also create activities directly from this timeline. So if we wanted to send an email regarding this specific contact, we can go ahead and create the email directly from the timeline. So there's a lot of functionality within this timeline feature that allows your colleagues to see what you've been doing, what they've been doing. You can go ahead and edit any notes. So if somebody misspoke, you can go ahead and edit the note as long as you have the proper permissions within Dynamics. And it's a nice way to see from the creation of a record all the way to the most current activity. So we've talked about a couple of ways within Dynamics itself to collaborate and communicate. But there are also many integrations with other Microsoft systems that allow communication and collaboration utilizing Dynamics 365. So the first of those integrations that we're going to talk about is our next tip, and that is using Dynamics 365 for Outlook to track emails, appointments, contacts, and tasks. So first, we're going to talk about how to set up the Dynamics for Outlook app, because it's very easily done through the UI. If you're an admin, you can go into the advanced settings, and there's a tab right here for Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. Within this tab, there are many links to all the requirements that it takes to get a user set up for this app. There's no installation required on the user side. It's all done through the Dynamics user interface. There is an option here to automatically add all eligible users. So once a user has been set up in Dynamics and their mailbox has been synced, if this is automatically checked, the app will automatically be pushed to that user. Or you can go ahead and specify which users you want to have it and which users you don't want. Here you'll see there's a service account. There's no need for it to have the Outlook add-in, so we don't have it added. So let's jump into Outlook. So once your Outlook app has been added, you'll notice up in the top corner, there's a little Dynamics 365 button. When you click the button to access the application, once you're authenticated and the application has loaded, it's going to load in the context of the email you're currently on. So if it finds either a user or a contact or an account with the email address of the sender, it will go ahead and show you that user or that contact. And from here, you can either track it without regarding it to any record in the system, and that will just push it into Dynamics so other users, maybe an administrator, can see what activity's been going on. Or you can go ahead and set it regarding, and we'll go ahead and set this regarding our account. You'll see it says processing, you'll see it's tracked, and if we go back to Dynamics CRM, you'll actually see the email in there, and we can check that by going View in Dynamics 365. And here you see the email. Now, if you accidentally tracked an email and you decided that wasn't the right email and you need to get rid of it, Dynamics also allows you to untrack emails. So we can go ahead and click the untrack. It's going to ask you if you also want to delete the email activity in Dynamics. We're going to go ahead and hit yes. And that will automatically remove it from Dynamics as well as the tracking within Outlook. There may be times when you want something added to Dynamics, but then you don't care to see it tracked in your Outlook. You can use this feature to track it. And once it's added to Dynamics, you can untrack it and leave it in Dynamics as well. So there's a lot of flexibility with tracking of emails. For tasks, you can track tasks in Dynamics. They have to be created through the Dynamics 365 app. So we can go ahead to the plus button, which is the creation tool. We'll go ahead and go to activities, and we'll go ahead to task. And from here, we will go ahead and create our task. You can put a due date if it's urgent, and if it's not urgent, you can leave it blank. And you can also set it regarding a specific record. Once you save that record, you'll see that it's no longer here. Microsoft Dynamics does have a 15-minute synchronization window, so it may not show up right away, but when that synchronization window hits, it will show up in your tasks with this blue bar to let you know that it's been tracked in Dynamics 365. It will also show up on the timeline of the record if you had set it regarding a specific record, and other users can see that you have a few tasks. You can assign tasks to other people using the Outlook application. There is a setting in the system-wide settings that will allow you to track assigned tasks, but that is off by default and would need to be enabled by an administrator. So on top of emails and tasks, you can also sync your contacts between Dynamics 365 and Outlook. So if you've been in constant contact with someone from an organization, you can actually go ahead and track them into Dynamics, and then other users can see those contacts in Dynamics and work with those contacts as well. You'll see here, I have some that are not tracked and some that are tracked. You can go ahead and select one, and if you do not want to track it, you'll see a track and an untrack up here. So we can go ahead, and you'll see you're about to stop tracking this contact. Do you want to untrack it but keep it in Dynamics, or would you also like to delete this contact? So we're going to say, let's go ahead and untrack, but let's keep it in Dynamics for other people to use. And now you'll see that it's no longer tracked. Another nice, convenient feature that allows collaboration is tracking of appointments in Dynamics 365. So this is my calendar, and you'll notice that these are all light blue and these are dark blue. These have been pushed to Dynamics 365 and synced. So if we go ahead and open this appointment, you'll see the Track to Dynamics 365 option here. And this is actually a Teams meeting. So other people can go in and see this Teams meeting through Dynamics. If we click on the Dynamics 365 option here, it will load the application. It will show us what the appointment is regarding and who the attendees are. If we no longer need an appointment and it was tracked, we can go ahead and untrack it just like we do with emails. Or if it's meant to be for another contact or another account, we can also change who or what the appointment is regarding, and that will change the timeline inside CRM. You can go ahead and create meetings and track them after creation. So if we go ahead and go into a new appointment and we click this Dynamics 365, while you're creating the appointment, you can go ahead and set up the tracking. Again, this tracking is done manually. And the reason that Microsoft has made it a manual tracking is that there may be many appointments regarding things other than Dynamics records. So you don't want to have all of your appointments synced to Dynamics. You'll want to pick and choose which appointments go into Dynamics and which don't. We're going to go ahead and track this. We're going to track it without regarding, which means it's just going to show up in our activities in Dynamics. And this is a meeting just for us. So we don't have any other attendees. We're just going to go ahead and save and close. Now you'll see this track pending, and that is due to the 15-minute synchronization. Usually emails are instantaneous, but tasks and appointments take some time to sync up. So now that we've looked at some of the Outlook functionality, let's look at a few of the settings that are related to this functionality, specifically the tracking settings. Now, each person can set their own email tracking settings in the personalization settings, and it's going to be under your email settings. Now here you'll see select email messages to track. This allows you to track email messages automatically. You can choose all email messages, but most people don't do that because there are very varying messages in their mailbox that they don't need in CRM. So a lot of people choose either the no email messages and track manually, or one of the other options in this list. So this does help with tracking emails automatically and take some of the load off of users. So it's all personal preference. There is a setting here to automatically create a contact. So if you track an email and the contact is not known when you track the email, you can have this setting to create the contact for you in Dynamics CRM. So those are per user settings. You can have an admin help you out with these, but most of the time users will set these up themselves. So now that we've talked about the Outlook integration, we're going to go ahead and talk about another integration. And that brings us to our next tip of using SharePoint integration for document management within Dynamics 365. So the SharePoint integration is relatively easy to set up. We're going to go ahead and go into our advanced settings again. There is a setting for document management. And we already have our SharePoint set up on this environment. But if we did not, you would see a setup server-based SharePoint integration here. When you set up the server-based SharePoint integration, it can be set up between on-premise Dynamics, CRM, and Sales, and on-premise SharePoint. It can be set up between Cloud, CRM, and Sales, and on-premise SharePoint. And it can be set up between Cloud, Sales, and Cloud SharePoint. So it does offer the flexibility depending on your infrastructure. When you set up the SharePoint integration, it's actually going to walk you through what entities you would like to set up. And you can choose as many or as few of the entities as you want to set up for the integration. So here you'll see a list of entities, and we have ours set up for account and a few others. When you hit next, the wizard will ask you, do you want to select a specific folder structure? And we have our folder structure based on account. And this allows the account folder within SharePoint to be the parent account. And then any contacts or any opportunities or any activities that go into SharePoint fall under this account folder. So it's if you want to set up a folder hierarchy, it helps you do that. Once you do that, it will let you know that the libraries are being created at your path that you specified. And you'll see we already have our 3 existing SharePoint folders here. So that's very easy to set up. It's the easiest to set up is between Cloud Dynamics for Sales and Cloud SharePoint. If you have on-premise SharePoint, there's a little bit of extra setup involved on the SharePoint server, but it does not take much time at all. So now that we have our SharePoint integration set up on our contacts and accounts and leads, you'll see a Files button here. This Files button is what points you directly to your SharePoint. So this grid will actually show you a list of all documents you have in your SharePoint site. We can go ahead and actually add a new document from within Dynamics. This is going to open our online Word editor here. It's saving. It's now saved. We can go ahead and go back to our Dynamics, and you'll see that the document is here. You'll see who last modified it, and you'll see that it's pointing to the SharePoint document, and even if it's checked out to someone. You can also upload an existing document into the SharePoint from here. So if you have some documents already in mind, you can go ahead and upload them. And you can also open the SharePoint location. So you can go ahead and, if you're more familiar in the SharePoint environment, you can go ahead and see your documents there through SharePoint. So this is a great feature that allows collaboration. It creates a folder for each record in your system. So if you have this account, you would see the structure of the account folder, and then this would have its own folder, and then it would have its documents in there. So it allows multiple people to come in here to see the documents, to share the documents, to edit the documents, all in one place, right within Dynamics 365 for Sales. So now that we've gone through our Outlook and our SharePoint integration, that's going to bring us up to our last tip, which is Dynamics 365 Teams integration to help collaboration with your colleagues and customers. So we're going to go back to our trusty settings menu. We're going to go ahead and go to our administration, and we're going to go to our system settings. right here in the first tab of the system settings is where you would enable your Microsoft Teams integration. There are two types of Teams integration. There is a basic and there is an enhanced. Basic Teams integration allows collaboration on single records. So it allows you to add a single contact or a single account to Teams for collaboration efforts, whereas the enhanced Teams integration allows you to bring views into Teams. So users can see multiple accounts or multiple contacts all at the same time. When you have to set up the basic integration in order to enable the enhanced integration. You can't enable enhanced without the basic. When you click yes on the basic, it walks you through a quick wizard that will ask you what your team name is and what your team channel is going to be. So it's very simple setup there. So once that is set up, you can come back to your records. In the menu, you'll see a collaborate button with the Teams logo. We can go ahead and click on that collaborate button. It's going to open up a little wizard for you to connect this record directly to your team. So we'll get started here. All right, it's going to search for our team. We're going to go ahead and do our Dynamics team. It's going to search for a channel. It's going to search for a channel. And we have our general channel here. So we're going to go ahead and add the record to that. Now, if there are any team members that you have on that channel, you can go ahead and add them in here, and that's going to give them access to the record you've specified. It's going to set up the channel. It's going to open Teams. And it's going to open the record directly in Teams. So now that we're in Teams, we can collaborate with others. We can talk to each other, say, hey, can you check out this account? Hey, can you check out this contact? Is there some information that you'd like to add? Is there something I'm missing? These records can be added to any team that you have in your organization. That includes externally facing teams. So you do want to be careful when you're adding these records to the teams that you're not exposing sensitive data outside of your organization. But it does allow you to share any data you'd like with customers, such as maybe some emails or activities or any other records within the dynamic system. So if I click on the files here, when it's in Teams, it actually will tell me that multiple file locations exist. And that's because I have a SharePoint integration and a Teams integration. So you'll see this document location here is Dynamics 365 for Sales, which is the Teams location. You can actually see there is the SharePoint location, and it will flip between your SharePoint and your Teams locations. And so if we were to use the Teams integration and go ahead and create a Word document here, it's going to create it here, but you will also be able to access it through the files in the Teams location. So it allows users to utilize both the files here and the files on the actual record within Dynamics. Once you are done with this record, there is the option to also remove the record. This will remove the mapping from Dynamics to the team channel, and it will remove the underlying document location inside Dynamics as well. So it severs the connection. Once it is removed, however, the files will still remain here in the Teams files folder. So you can still access any documents while you are collaborating. It's not going to get rid of any documents, which is fantastic. You can also add a record from the team side as well. So if you're already in Teams and you're already talking about a specific account or a specific contact, you can actually go in and you can add that record right from within Teams. So you'll see here, it's the same functionality. It's just adding it directly from Teams. So I didn't even have to go to Dynamics. Now, in order to add from the Teams side, you will need Dynamics security privileges, but any user that's in Teams does not need Dynamics privileges to view these records. These records will have the team security in place. So that is also something to keep in mind, that this does not follow Dynamics security. This follows Teams security because it's within this application. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. We're done with that. And you'll see here, it posted that I've added those records. You can choose to post that a record has been added or not. And that is dependent upon how much you want to have users notified that you've added these records for collaboration purposes. And with that, we have shown you marketing lists and quick campaigns, utilizing your timeline, your Outlook, SharePoint, and Teams integrations, and how you can utilize all of these features to bring greater collaboration and communication to your customers and colleagues. So I'm going to go ahead and stop talking now, and we're going to take it to the question board, and we're going to go ahead and answer some of your burning questions. All right, so it looks like we don't have any questions at the moment. I may have been able to answer them all for you while I was giving that nice little presentation. If you do have questions, I will be here for another minute or two, and you can feel free to ask them in the chat. I'll go ahead and read them off, and I'll let you know, dig into my brain a little bit. If there are no questions and I gave you a perfect overview, then that's fantastic. I hope it was well worth your time. And if you guys need anything from Greybuck, you guys can always give us a call. So I'm going to hang out here. Well, all right then, guys. Looks like we don't have any questions coming at us on the question board. So again, I'm Jeb Strobel, Dynamics developer, software engineer here at Greybuck. And thank you everyone again for joining, and stay safe. And we will hopefully talk to you soon.